want to welcome you this morning to the South Carolina State Employees Association's 2015 session with the candidates who are running for governor. Welcome to you, the state employees and the retirees, representing employees and retirees statewide. Welcome also to the candidates. Who knew 70 years ago that 20 state employees that came together to form a retirement system would be the founding fathers of the South Carolina State Employees Association? Well, we are celebrating our 70th year this year, or in 2015. So we will, we're very, very proud of this organization. I'd like to introduce to you the executive committee members that are here. If you're here, please stand just long enough for people to recognize you. Sheila Brown, Francis Fagan, Sandra Shealy, Angela Williams, and Walt Woodrum. If any of the other executive committee members are here and I missed you, I am so sorry. Please let me know that you're here. You will see cameras in the background, and you've heard about our commercial. The gentlemen in the back are Daniel Fisher and Durham Harrison, who will be filming, who did the commercial that you will see on TV, and it will be available on the website, but after it is shown at the retirees meeting next week. So look for that and look for the announcement. It is my pleasure to introduce today's moderator, Mr. Harrison Reardon. I have known Mr. Reardon in several capacities. He is past president of the South Carolina State Employee Association, and whether it was as a state employee or as a retiree, he is a champion for state employees and retirees. Welcome, Mr. Reardon.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Wow. This is transparency at its best. You hear a lot about transparency. Well, this is transparency at its best. Let me get on, because I understand that time is limited. I had some notes and some comments to make, but I'm hearing that time is very, very limited on both sides. I'd like now to bring the candidates to the platform. As you come up, you'll see your names. Yeah. We're going to have sanity up here. We're not.
Yeah, I know.
Yes,
I'm supposed to be on this.
We're not going to have them arguing about the fan and whether the fan is on or not. You all know the detail on that, don't you?
We got candidates that like each other.
I know, right?
However, if either one of them needs to have a fan, I think we can arrange it. Would you help me welcome the candidates? I was going to say, in order to satisfy your curiosity, here is an extra podium here. But Brother, Mr. Washington has stolen my thunder. You know the history behind this one. I'll talk about that a little later. We do have one other candidate coming. I am not going to do a bio, review the records and all of this kind of thing because it's very time consuming. Plus, that's all you've been reading about in the newspapers lately, so you know them as well as I do. I'm looking hard for the to see that everybody is here because we are ready to begin. Well, we'll go with what we have.
Excuse
let me explain that speaking of transparency, we wanted to be very clear in expressing your concerns and your questions. So much so until we mailed out the questions to the candidates in advance. And we were anticipating 5 candidates arriving. We have heard from 4, and they were enthusiastic about it. Mr. Washington has already explained that we were not very clear as to whether the governor would or would not be here, and we aren't to this moment. So I said, give her a podium anyway. So if I move over here, you'll know that I have aspirations of becoming governor too. Looks very tempting to me. But for your appreciation, we have Senator Vincent Shaheen at the first podium. We have Mr. Steve French at the next podium. And we have Dr. Morgan Reeves at the other podium. According to responses, we are anticipating the arrival of Mr. Tom Irvin. And if and when he comes, we'll just work him in and keep going. So, gentlemen, let me thank you. We're going to get started. The first question relates to short-term pay issue. Recently, as recent as October, the 1st of October, the Department of Social Services increased case workers, CPS workers, salary, not all workers, CPS salaries, which is still lower than the national average for case workers. What would you do as governor immediately to address this disparity in the pay for case workers? We'll start with Dr. Reeves on the end down there.
Thank you. What I would do immediately, what y'all should do immediately is elect me as governor.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it wouldn't take me 15 years in the Senate or 4 years as governor to realize that you need a raise. Our biggest expense in state government is prison. We're paying out a lot of money in prison because we're locking up a lot of our children for simple stuff like marijuana. They can't read, they can't vote, they can't. So the point I'm making is that if we cut the prison rate down, that'll give us a little bit more money for our caseworkers. Our caseworkers, I think, are getting a big load, and the reason why your load is very heavy is because our families are not putting God first. They're arguing and they're fighting because they have little pay to take care of their children. If you throw a steak in front of a lion, he's going to fight. These young men and women are living below poverty.
Sure.
And as governor, I would take money and I would put it into faith base to work with our churches and work with our communities, to start working with these children and parents through our churches and giving them, this is beyond state government. It's not the case workers, it's not their problem. The problem is coming from governors and senators who are not raising the budget and not paying people the cost of living, and this is stimulating the arguments in our families. A young mother cannot raise their children on this type of pay. We have paid over $10 million to our legislative branch, Mr. Shaheen, our executive branch, Mrs. Nikki Haley, and Tom Irvin, our judicial branch. They have millions of dollars in their account. But somehow or another, they have not figured out how to give you a raise.
Thank you, sir. Let me apologize. I'm so excited and so thrilled. I want these gentlemen to know that you'll have 2 minutes. You'll have 2 minutes.
And you're just going to cut us off right at 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, and you'll have 2 minutes also for closing comments. Since we're running so tight on time, I did not go with an opening statement. You can put that in at the end.
Very good. Sure. Thank you.
You're next, sir.
Sounds good.
2 minutes.
Thank you again for having me. My name again is Steve French. I'm the Libertarian nominee for governor of South Carolina. I'm a young father, young husband, small business owner here in Charleston, South Carolina. When I came to South Carolina, folks, I was broke. I was living way below poverty. I was homeless, and the only thing I had was a truck, a strong work ethic, and a dream to just start my own alternative fuel business. South Carolina, you've been very good to my family, and that is why I'm running, to pay that forward to you, to give you a politically consistent philosophy for once that you can actually gravitate towards, to talk to you about freedom not just economically, but socially. I wholeheartedly agree with a lot of what Mr. Reeves is saying here. We spend $157 million in this state locking people up for a victimless, nonviolent crime like marijuana. We know wholeheartedly that there's medicinal uses. We know that there's soldiers that come back with PTSD, patients with cancer, AIDS. All of that happens. We are taking money out of your resources and being able to pay you. Now, as a small business owner, I understand one thing: you get what you pay for. And right now, it's a travesty, in my opinion, that we cannot at least be paying our state employees the average salaries that are throughout this nation. You need to be able to be paid a living wage, because if you cannot make it, we understand that it's going to infect so many other things with government. So I'm the only candidate right now that's talking about getting rid of the Department of Commerce. As a libertarian, I do not believe that we should be giving billions of dollars out to billion-dollar companies. That's a huge thing we can do. That saves us another $140 million right there. We really need to be talking about our pension system in this state. Regardless, again, of what you think of Curtis Loftus, he is spot on. Our treasurer is spot on when he says we're paying $454 million in fees a year, which is $275 million more than the average state in the nation is paying. Now, I guarantee you, I put $275 million back into your budget and actually put it for employees, you're going to have more than enough money to pay any salary increase. And I think we need to just do something simple like tie it to inflation. That's probably one of the easiest things we can do. There's no reason why, as years and years go on, that you make less and less money. So I'm up here trying to give you a very pragmatic, very reasonable, very moderate tone and moderate message that just says we want to keep government out of our wallets and out of our homes, and at the same time, we prioritize what government does. This is not a libertarian message that's talking about no government, okay? That isn't practical. I want to talk about prioritizing. Government has a role: roads, and helping out the DSS, education, police and fire. So that's what I would do, is reprioritize.
Thank you, sir. 2 minutes, Senator.
Well, first I want to say thank you for having us today. I know what you do. I'm thankful for what you do. I appreciate what you do, and I want to thank you for what you do. You know, I grew up the son of 2 state employees. My mom was a public school teacher. My dad worked for the Commissioner on Higher Education. The paychecks that paid the bills in my house were state employee paychecks. I want to make sure that we protect our pension fund because you deserve it and you've worked your whole lives for it. I want to make sure that you're treated with respect and dignity. And you know what? You deserve a governor who will show up. You deserve a governor who will be here and respect you. You deserve that. And next year you will have one who will show up. So I'm proud that I have fought to increase state employees' pay. You know, you can talk, sometimes you can talk, and you don't show up, but you also need to walk. And I'm proud that I have. You know that we've been fighting an uphill battle, but we can change that. The first step I will take as the next governor is to include employee pay raises in my executive budget. The way that our state works, the first crack at the budget is the governor's opportunity. The current governor has not advocated or included employee pay raises in her executive budget. I will every year because I believe that we can afford it every year. Listen, we all know, and I've seen you do it. When the economy's tough and we have to tighten our belts, you do it. You do it. You take the brunt of it. You know, I've talked a lot in this campaign about Governor Haley raising her own staff's pay 25%. And I do that because I think leadership matters. I believe that you set an example and a tone. And when you have state employees who've been cut year after year after year, furloughed year after year after year, seeing tiny little increases year after year after year, it sends the exact wrong message to hire all your political staff and give them 25% pay increase. I'm the only elected member of the General Assembly who, when the time was tough and you were receiving furloughs, cut his own pay. I don't talk about it a lot, but I did it because I thought when I looked you in the eyes and saw that you've been furloughed, which was another way for pay cut, I wanted to be able to say, I try to do my own little tiny part to say that I'm there with you, I appreciate what you do, and I thank you. So, as next governor, I'll be there with you. We'll be advocating to pay you what you deserve to be paid, and we'll keep working at it, chipping away at it year after year. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. As you will recall, gentlemen, legislators debated a pay increase for the General Assembly themselves at length, simply because there had not been a visitation of this issue since 1995. We submit that caseworkers, state employees, deserve the same attention. And I want to know, or we want to know, what would you do to address this disparity, this issue regarding state employees' wages in general? State employees hadn't been increased since 1995 either. Yeah.
So there's two things I believe we need to do and that I pushed doing and have introduced legislation to do. One is to have a cyclical, regular review of employee pay to make sure that we're competitive with other states, to make sure that we are as competitive as we can be with the private sector, so that the attention is given there. You know, when there was a proposal to raise legislators' pay, it was pretty substantial. And I opposed it. And I caught a lot of heat from some of my legislative friends. But I opposed it because I believe leadership matters. And I thought it sent the exact wrong message to you, to the people of this state. The legislators were going to raise their pay substantially, or the governor raised her own staff's pay substantially, while you who are out there doing the hard work don't get much. Number two, I've introduced a longevity plan bill. I think this is important. If we are going, I've heard it over and over again from y'all. You might work in an agency for 20 years, and then somebody else comes in at the same level, and they're paid the exact same much. So you're always having to try to find a job somewhere else or up just to make more money. I believe that we should reward longevity. I believe that we should reward people who reward the state, and I believe that we need to also have longevity considered in your pay.
Thank you, sir. We are pleased to have Mr. Tom Irvin join us.
Thank you. I apologize for being late. I was at a domestic violence hearing at the State House, and so I apologize for being
You
late.
weren't the victim, were you?
No.
Yeah, okay.
No,
Okay.
we were speaking,
Very good.
speaking on behalf of victims.
We're glad to have
Thank
you.
you.
And for your benefit, I will repeat the
Thank you,
question,
sir.
and you will be next. We're asking that you limit your comments to 2 minutes.
Yes, sir.
We've also been made aware that if you give a politician a microphone or a minister, you're going to have a tough time controlling it, but we're going to work on it. The question I was asking, legislators debated a pay increase for the General Assembly members, stating that the legislators' pay structure had not been addressed since 1995. And so from the state employee classification compensation plan structure has also been the same. And we really feel that we need an annualized pay structure. So as governor, what would you do to rectify this situation?
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, we have unfortunately seen that Governor Haley has turned her back on state employees and retirees. And not only has she not dealt with fair and adequate compensation through a pay structure plan, but she's also shifted the burden of health insurance premiums, dental premiums, and contributions to state retirement to the employees. And, you know, one of the benefits of historically of being a state employee was that you had the state providing group health insurance coverage, dental coverage, and retirement. And to shift this burden unfairly on to our state employees is simply not right, and it's not leadership. If I'm governor, I'm going to stand up for state employees because this is the best way to attract and retain the best talent. We're at risk of losing some of the best talent that we have in state government, and all the institutional knowledge that comes with it, all those years of experience that you all bring to the table. Is it all at risk if we don't fairly compensate our employees? It's just common sense. And so what I would do as governor, I would work to institute an annual pay plan that takes into consideration an annual cost of living increase, and also stops this trend of the legislature wanting to shift the burden of group health insurance back to the employees. That's simply not right. It's not fair. And we need a governor that's going to work for and stand up for state employees who are the most important part of our system. You all are the ones that execute the law, that you're on the front line delivering services to the public. And so we've got to be sure that you are fairly compensated.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Branch.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I agree, and I sound off with a lot of the comments they have made. I really think it's a travesty that since 1995, you all haven't gotten a pay raise. I'm a big free market capitalist, but there's nothing about that says that you should lose money year after year as inflation continues to increase. So I simply would just put, again, a cost of living adjustment and tie it to inflation. I think that's one of the simplest things we can do to just make sure, if nothing else, you don't lose money every year. But more importantly than that, though, I want to get rid of this state's corporate and personal income tax. Every single one of you, take a look at your checks. See how much money is being taken out for this state's personal income tax. The average median income in this state is $42,000. That's $245 a month that is put back in your pocket that you can put into getting groceries, diapers, reliable transportation. I know a lot of people just want some reliable transportation, and it's your money, South Carolina. That's the best thing that we can do, is give you more money in your pockets, and it's your own money to do it with. So I wholeheartedly agree that we need to tie your salaries to inflation and make sure that there's a cost of living adjustment. But aside from that, I want to make sure that you're free. I want to make sure that you're economically free, and we do that by getting rid of the personal and corporate income tax.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Reeves?
Long-term pay policy. I mean, why are y'all asking us that question? You have your legislative branch here. You have your governor here. They negotiated to raise the budget for the senators. We have our democracy's legislative branch, executive branch, and judicial branch. Your executive branch here negotiated to raise their salary. Why are you asking us that question? They didn't negotiate to raise your salary. Here's what I propose. If you want something different, why are you voting on the same people? Number two, politics is involved. Politics is not government. Let me tell you what politics is. The art and science concerned with winning and holding control over the government. Don't let the Democratic Party and the Republican Party take control. If you want something new, you got to vote on somebody new. You can be broke and be a Democrat. You can be broke and be a Republican. And you'll be broke if you vote for them. But here's what I offer. If we legalize marijuana with all of its 8 products, if we legalize hemp with all of its 8 products, then I will allow the state workers to invest in those products, and now you have not only 401k plan, you have 8 different retirement plans. And you can live like somebody. But if you don't want to live like somebody, don't blame it on Governor Haley. Don't blame it on the Senator Vincent Shaheen. Blame it on both of them, and blame it on yourself for wanting something new and voting on the same people.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Shaheen? The South Carolina Public Employee Benefits Authority, we refer to it as PEBA, was created in July 2012 by the South Carolina General Assembly. PEBA is a state agency responsible for the administration and management of the state's employee insurance program and retiree programs. And as we speak and as we talk today, keep in mind the retirees as well. The current board composition is 4 to 7, 11. And what that means is the 4 are representatives of the association, employees and retirees. The 7 are members from outside, general public, if you please. We have checked nationally, and it is recommended that more parity or equity be given to these appointments. In other words, something like 5 or 6 or 6 to 5, which would be 11. What would be your position on that if you were elected as governor?
I think it's appropriate to have more representative members. You know, it is your money, it is your retirement. I think it makes sense to have you involved. Right now, I think the easiest way to change that is through the governor's appointees. The governor is allowed to appoint 3 persons. Unfortunately, in the law, it says that they have to be non-representative members. I think that should be up to the governor. I know as a governor, I will consider appointing representative members, and I'll ask to change that to allow to appoint them as well. You also mentioned the investment commission. I think that's an important part of what we're doing. You know, right now, your member on the investment commission is non-voting. I think that person should be voting. I think they should have the power for their voice, for your voice to be heard relating to these investments, so that the things that Mr. French mentioned, which I also believe is true, will have your perspective, your voice to be heard. So I do think it's appropriate to have more representative members. I think the easiest way to do that is through the governor's office. And I think you deserve a voice in the investment commission as well. Hey, at the end of the day, what you need is a governor who will advocate for you. What you need is a governor who will step up for you. What you need is a governor who respects you and believes that you're important, and that's exactly what I bring to the table, and I'm proud to bring to the table.
Mr. Irvin, what would you do to bring more equity to this 11-member board?
I would favor increasing the association membership to 5, have 5, 5, and 1. That would give more equity and fairness to the decision-making process. But I agree that the leadership has to come from the governor's office, and we simply haven't had a governor, and Governor Haley, who's willing to lead. She's turned her back time after time on state employees and retirees, and will continue to do so. As you can see, she's not here today. And the reason she's not here is she can't face this group. She can't face you all because she hasn't treated you fairly. She hasn't treated you fairly, and so she's ashamed to be in this room, as she should be. But Tom Irvin will treat you fairly. I understand your problems, your needs, and I will be there fighting for you when I'm governor.
Mr. French? Thank you, sir.
Well, this may be a little different than a lot of the other candidates up here, but I would actually probably get rid of both those commissions, to be quite honest with you. Since running for office, I've realized that there are hundreds and hundreds of appointments to these vastly different commissions. We already know that the Investment Commission is not taking our treasurer's advice and saying that we're spending $275 million more every year in fees, and we can't get anything done. It's your money. I want you to control your money. Why don't you have control over your own retirement? Why don't you personally have an account in your name through Fidelity or Bank of America that you personally can decide what you want to balance between mutual funds or how aggressive you want your investments to be? I don't believe that all these commissions are helping. I think it just muddies the waters. And honestly, I want to get the power back to you, the individual. And I think the best way of doing that is truly giving you control over your retirement and giving you that money back.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Reeves?
I don't know whether I can answer this question or not, but certainly at the end of the question, it's a twofold question, more equitable distribution equitable distribution, I consider that to be fair. We hear the word fair all the time. But my question is, I would add, you got 11 there now. I would add 11 more to this commission. And the reason why I would add 11 more, I would add 11 more people that looks like you, that get up and work hard every day. Some people on that commission that makes $10 an hour. Some people on that commission makes $8 an hour. Somebody that looks like Morgan Reeves, who went out here and campaigned in his 1988 pickup Ford truck and offered to double your pay, not like your governor who has $10 million, who took special interest money, and Mr. Vincent Shaheen has, over the last 4 years, you've given him how many opportunities in legislation? 15 years. And he's saying he's being honest? How can he be honest? He didn't even negotiate a raise for you. What I'm saying is we got to put God first. And we got to have godly leadership in our government. The type of leadership that believes in all of the people, not just a few. So you know, state government, you have the ball in your own hands, state employees. If you want Mr. Shaheen, when is he negotiating the legislation for you to get a raise? He didn't do that. When did Mrs. Haley do it? You want them? Go ahead. You'll be broke just like you are now, with nothing.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
I'm not talking about you being broke personally, but you understand the terminology. But African Americans, I'm not going to sit to the back of the bus for you.
Yeah,
I'm a soul brother.
All right, we like our insurance program. We think our employee and retirement health insurance is a good plan. We've compared it to other plans across the country. However, the industry suggests that, our experience suggests that the premiums are going up, but our income remains flat. I'm sure you've heard that every place you've gone. As governor, how would you address this disparity, Mr. Irvin?
You make a good point, but I'll tell you one thing that is not worth the money that we pay for as state retirees and employees, and that is the short-term and long-term disability plan. The standard long-term disability plan and short-term disability plan is really worthless. And I would encourage your group to look at that, because I'm familiar with the plan. I've tried to help some people get benefits through the plan, and it has set-off provisions that essentially make it worthless. And what they do is, if you, for example, if you are successful in getting Social Security disability benefits, you can't draw the standard disability. And so it's essentially you're paying for something that you're not getting. And so you really need to look at that standard life, long-term and short-term disability plan, and get a plan that helps state employees. The current plan does not. But back to your question, again, it really comes down to fairness. We've got to have a leader who's going to be fair to our employees. And that's what we need, and that's what I'm willing to do. I'm familiar with your issues. I'm willing to fight for you, and I will fight for you when I'm governor.
Mr. French? Thank you, sir.
Well, Tom's right. I mean, when you talk about paying for something that you're not getting, I think we all would agree that's wrong. The question is, how do you solve that? And I would say wholeheartedly, it's about choice. It's about choices, folks. Like right now in this state, we know that Blue Cross Blue Shield is one of the biggest providers here in this state. And I love them, and like I said, when I used to sell insurance, I always loved talking with state employees, because I knew it was just going to be a conversation. I could never sell you anything. You had great benefits, and that was always something we said in the insurance business. Well, they may never get rich, but man, those benefits, they're top notch. That's what I want to keep for you guys. I want to make sure that you feel like you're getting the best top-notch insurance you possibly can. The only way to do that is to give more competition. We have to allow every single insurance company possible to be able to bid for these state contracts. Blue Cross Blue Shield right now has what's called a most favored nation clause, where they literally go into hospitals and say, you know what, we're going to make sure that our rates are lower, and because of that, you've got to charge higher rates for other insurance companies. All you have to do is go look at counties all on our border between Georgia and South Carolina. Individuals are paying 20% higher, companies are paying 30% higher. Competition works, and that's why I continue to talk about making South Carolina the freest state in the nation. And for me, freeing you all means giving you guys every choice possible, giving every insurance company the ability to come in and show you what they can do for you, and then you guys make the decisions that are right for your life, because I'm the last person up here that's going to tell you that I know what's best for you. I don't. You know what's best for your life, and that's why I want to give you the power and give you the choice, which really comes down to giving you your money back. Get rid of the corporate income tax, let's reprioritize government, and let's get some free market capitalism in this state and really have some true competition to drive down your costs.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Reeves?
I disagree with Mr. French for the first time. That I've told him I disagree with it at least. Well, let's look at the Affordable Care Act. Let's just talk about insurance in general. Medicaid is a state and federal government program that provides health care for people with lower income. It pays for services such as preventative health care. It pays for our doctors, hospitals, and some medications. I would say keep our insurance with the federal government, because the federal government have been there for those senior citizens with their Social Security. They've been there with your Medicaid. They've never missed a beat. So why should we go with Mr. French allegation with, I wouldn't say allegation, his term or his way of doing things, or Mr. Tom Irvin's, was Mr. Irvin and French is saying, let the insurance companies take care of it. Remember what the insurance companies did to you? They said that you could not, if you had a pre-existing condition, this kind of thing. So the bottom line, state workers, here's what I'll do for you in your retirement. The budget is $24 billion. They cannot raise the budget. 35% of the $24 billion was federal impact money. Mrs. Haley allows that money to get out of the state, and so did Vincent Shaheen. He's responsible for it also, because they were your representative. Jim Clyburn was the only Democrat in Washington fighting for it. He wasn't there, but I was there. Another thing I would do to make sure you have a nice, equitable retirement, I will allow you to invest in marijuana and the hemp. Behind this physical universe, there's a God, and not only is he powerful, he's magnificently creative. So I think it's something of God. He gave you wheat, he gave you corn, he gave you marijuana, he gave you hemp. King Kong is the seventh wonder of the world. I'm the eighth. So go on along with your Democratic plan and be broke. Go on along with the Republican plan and be broke. But I'm giving you an opportunity to invest and get a return. Not only one 401k plan, but 8 different retirement plans is what I offer, and the existing plans stay the same.
Mr. Shaheen?
Thank you.
2 minutes.
Okay. Well, I want to first say that you know who fights for you, and you know who doesn't. You know who's there for you, fighting the battles, not just talking the talk, taking the hard votes, working to make sure that we protect you as much as we can against a hostile administration who is out to get you, who believes that government is not in the best interest of people all too often. And I'm proud to do that for you, because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm proud of my record. And I'm proud that when we had an opportunity to cover your health care premium increases, that we did. And that Governor Haley, through her machinations on the Budget Control Board, tried to block that. And our state Supreme Court told her that she was breaking the law. But you know what? That shouldn't have surprised us, because she breaks the law all the time. She breaks the law all the time. So I'm thankful that when we can help, we're able to, even when we have folks who are fighting us as we try to do it. I do want to also be frank with you. Health insurance costs go up. They are going up in the private sector. They're going up in the governmental sector. We have got to work hard together to find ways to control those costs. And that means earlier prevention. It means prevention of health problems. It means having a more holistic approach to our healthcare system. I also want to say that Governor Haley blocking our Medicaid tax dollars from coming to this state is wrong, wrong, Wrong. Thousands of state employees will be eligible for Medicaid under Medicaid expansion. She is keeping you, your friends, and many people who need it the most, the people who are working hard out there and being paid the least, from getting the benefits that your tax dollars and our tax dollars are paying for right now, and she's shipping our money to New Jersey and Pennsylvania and all across the country, and that's wrong.
Thank you, sir. We contend that our employees need cover in dangerous positions when they're in the line of duty. Recently, during the year, you read about the DHEC situation where a pit bull attacked an employee and during their killing. Other agencies are suffering from the same. As governor, how would you address this issue? Mr. French?
Well, as a small business owner, I run an oil collection service where I take fryer oil and get it turned into biodiesel. And at night, we end up going out to restaurants and doing their hood cleans. And I say this because we do not allow one of our employees to go out alone. I think that's the biggest thing we can talk about when it comes to this issue. You never know what home you're going to go to and what kind of person is there. I think one of the fastest ways is just do a simple buddy system and make sure there's a second person there when you're going out into the field and having to do something like that. I think it's a safer way of doing things. I'd like to kind of combat a little bit about what Morgan said. Folks, the federal government is broke. They're broke. They have no money. They're literally mortgaging my children, your children, and our grandchildren because they can't get their budgets together. I do not want to put any more power and faith in the federal government than we have to. I want you as the individual to have every bit of power you can, and the way to do that is put more money in your pockets, which gives you more choices. And the more choices you have, the more power you're gonna have. So when we're talking about taking federal dollars, I'm a young small business owner. I told this story last night. I've had full coverage health care myself, personally, with my business since I started it in 2009. I've seen my health care costs more than double, and then when I have my first child, I have to pay 100% out of pocket for it. That's the new insurance policy. I mean, great, everybody's insured, I'm insured, but I get no access because they don't cover maternity care in the private market like they used to. It's a tiered system. I've got to wait 10 years before I get a full benefit of getting a child paid for. So I'm a young middle-class small business owner who now has to pay 100% out of pocket for my kids. One of the only major reasons I'm going to use health coverage, being 30-something years of age. That's where we're going with this, and that's why I want you guys to understand how important it is to get competition going in this state. All we need to do is get companies, I mean, it's like Lending Tree, you know, when banks compete, you win. When healthcare companies compete, you win. We need to get every health insurance company, I don't care if they're from Canada, to come down here and be able to propose to you, the state employees, on what plans that will best fit you, and you guys make that decision. But I wholeheartedly am not for giving any more power to the federal government, folks. They're broke. They don't know what's going on in Washington. They're doing it wrong, and we all know it.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Reeves?
I don't like pit bulls, and but I know way two of them, but I'm not gonna call you the name. Eating somebody's retirement up. I think I've seen a lot of pit bulls around, and I really protect state, agree. You can have insurance, you go out there. If you run across a mad dog, I think that property owner should be prosecuted for it because technically there are a lot of pit bulls around and the owner says, well, he's not gonna bite anybody. I'm saying, gee whiz, you have teeth, you know? So that's a simple question. I mean, if you get hurt in the line of duty, we should cover it.
All right.
We should cover it. But we can do also a better job of enforcing the law. That dog should be on a chain behind a 10-foot fence, from how I understand.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to skip over the next question because we're running short on time. I may get a chance to come back to it. But I do want you to answer this. Our Retirement Systems Investment Commission has come under great discussion. I think it's about, $30 million in the kitty right now. But there's a concern that we are paying the managers of this firm too much money. Mr. Shaheen, how would you address that?
Well, I am concerned about the fees that we're paying to essentially New York bankers and financial advisors. That's tens of millions of your dollars and taxpayer dollars, because taxpayer dollars match your contributions, that are going to out-of-state firms that advise us on investing. We pay some of the highest rates in America, and there's a discussion about whether or not they're appropriate because of the alternative nature of what we're investing in. But I think that the biggest problem we have right now is that we don't have a leader that we can trust to tell us the truth about what's going on. And my goal is to appoint members of the Investment Commission and the PIBA who will look out for you first, who will work to bring those fees down because I believe they're too high, who will look for advisors who will give us the best advice we can. You know, I want to make sure that we have a governor who looks out for you and doesn't just take advantage of things for herself. Look here, you know the story. I mean, we have a governor who has basically abused the state plane, right, and had to pay back money because she was using it for political purposes. She drove the state car to North Carolina to pick up campaign checks and then wrecked it and didn't tell anybody about it. You know what would happen to you if you took the state vehicle and wrecked it and didn't tell anybody? You'd be fired, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen to this empty podium in 2 weeks, because it's wrong what she's done, and we're going to change it.
Thank you, sir. Mr.
Yes, sir. Well, we have to look at the way our investment fund is being managed, for sure. I can't believe we can't find someone here in South Carolina that could do as good or better job rather than sending all these high fees to someone in New York. We have some good minds here in South Carolina that could wisely invest those funds. It also concerns me some of the risky investments that they're making, trying to make up for bad years in the past. They've gotten into all kind of speculative, high-risk investments, and that puts our funds at great risk, and it concerns me, particularly in a volatile world we live in now. We certainly don't want to put our retirement assets at risk. So the whole process needs a review. When I'm governor, I would ask for a thorough review from top to bottom and see how we can better manage those retirement funds so they'll be there for you when you're ready to retire.
Thank you, sir. Mr. French?
This goes back to that $275 million that our treasurer's been talking about, folks. This is the reason why I want to get rid of these commissions. We have our own state treasurer shouting from the top of his lungs, we're paying the 20% highest in fees and we're getting the 20% lowest in returns. It doesn't match up. He's telling us wholeheartedly we're paying $275 million more dollars than just the average state. Not to mention if we were going to be better than average. So that's why I want to get rid of all these commissions, because I guarantee you, if you look hard enough, there's probably some bit of special interest and a reason that commission does not want to get rid of that bank. So as governor, it's very simple. I'm a small business owner. That's it. They're fired. They're done. We will find another bank that doesn't charge those fees. We're not going to pay $275 million extra a year so that some bank in New York or wherever it's at can get this extra money. This is your money. This is South Carolinians' money. And all we have to do is just have a leader that can come in, that doesn't have strings attached to them, that can say these things. You want to talk about getting the legislature to straighten up? I guarantee you, whether our Senator Shaheen gets elected or Nikki Haley gets elected again, it is not going to shake anything up from those 200 men or women. You want to shake those 200 men and women up, you get a libertarian that comes out of nowhere and actually wins office, you're going to have a lot more people perk up. I guarantee you're going to have a lot more Republicans that jump on board getting rid of the income tax and getting on a school choice policy. We're going to be able to decriminalize marijuana because that's what this state wants. 80% of the Democrats in their primaries said they want to legalize marijuana. 80 to 90% of Republicans said they want to get rid of the income tax. This is the kind of coalition I'm trying to build here in South Carolina, a consistent one that it's about individual freedom, which is why I am all about socially liberal Democrats and I am all about fiscally conservative Republicans coming on board, because in the end, it is about giving you the personal choice and the personal decision. I would get rid of that commission, I would fire that bank, and I would get our $275 million back.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Reeves?
The same people who are funding Mrs. Haley ads and Mr. Vincent Shaheen ads are the same people taking your money. They are influencing you to believe Democrat is all right. They are influencing you to believe Republicans are all right. But ask yourself the question, look at the facts. When have you had a raise? Here's what I'll do for you. I propose to double your salary. How can I do that? The budget is $24 billion, 240. Mr. Shaheen, Vince, I'm gonna lay off you a little bit, but let's look at the corridor of shame. Let's look at the corridor of shame. Here we was in 1959, all of these inadequate counties around here. Our school teachers, they fought for a raise. I live in Fairfield County, Williamsburg County, Orangeburg, where the largest minority African Americans live. We have one library in Fairfield County for 40,000 people. And you're talking about trust? You think a Democrat is going to get you there, a Republican? You go to Williamsburg County, and you talk about your retirement. You talk about trust. The same people that gave Mr. Shaheen $5 million to straighten your problem out, he didn't do it. If you want to stay the same, vote on the same people. Don't ask for different results when you're voting on the same people. Your future is in your hands. In your hands.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Sheen?
Thank you. I think that if we're going to change this state, we're only going to be able to do it together. I already got a crack at that question, but I can do my closing now. You want us to do our closings?
Yeah, we're coming to
Or do you want to do another question? Did you want to do another question?
Yeah, we're gonna do one more question.
All right, you go ahead, because I got a crack at that one. It was just a long time ago, so it
Okay,
didn't
well, let's
seem
go
like
to your closing statements then. Go ahead.
Great.
Closing statement.
Thank you. Well, first, again, let me thank you for what you do for the people of South Carolina. Listen, we have an opportunity to change the state. We have an opportunity to get rid of what we've had, not just for 4 years, but really for 12 years. We've had governors for the last 12 years who have been hostile to you, hostile to our state government. And the result has been tragic. Just look at the Department of Social Services. It's all you need to see. Some of you out there work for the department. You know what this governor has done to the Department of Social Services, and the results have been tragic. Kids have died who could have been helped because of the top-down approach that's destroyed what is and should be and will be again a great agency. I want to make sure that South Carolina is successful. I don't want a governor who vetoes teacher pay increases and then last night lied about it and said she did. Because we need somebody who's going to be honest and truthful with us. I don't want a governor who's let our roads and our bridges fall apart and not provided leadership to the state of South Carolina. We don't need to have a governor who's abused the state plane, the state car, and cares more about her own political career than the good of the people of South Carolina. As your next governor, I'll do what I've always done with you. I'll be here. I'll be here. I'll be honest with you. I'll work with you to change this state and transform it into what it can be. I'm tired of us being the brunt of late-night TV jokes. I'm tired of us being embarrassed by people like Nikki Haley and Mark Sanford and the whole crew. You represent what is good about South Carolina. And when I'm governor, I'll be there at your agency to lift you up, to show off to this state how great our government employees are. At the end of the day, what I hear from state employees is, you just want to be treated with respect and the dignity that you deserve. And my promise to you is, when I'm elected governor, I will be there, I will give you that respect and dignity, and I'm coming to you for help to change this state like it deserves to be changed. So get ready to roll up your sleeves and work as hard as I know you will. Thank you for having me, and thank you for changing this state.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Irvin?
Thank you for this opportunity to come and visit with you this morning. I'm running as an independent because I believe that it takes leadership and it takes consensus building and problem solving to fix the issues we've been discussing this morning. And I'm not tied to either political party or any special interest. I've taken no PAC money and no special interest in my campaign. I funded my own campaign for the most part, with the help of many South Carolinians who've contributed to the cause. I want to make a difference for South Carolina. I could have gone on and retired. I got my time in and I could do that. But I've chosen to serve because I care about you and I care about the people of this state. And the reason I care about you and the people of this state is I love you and the people of this state. I want to do what's best for you. I want to make decisions that will invest in you, in your training, in your children's education. We need a better governor, and I'm here to tell you that I will be on the job here at the State House in Columbia. You won't see me going to political conventions because I'm not affiliated with a political party. I'm going to be here working with you and for you. And when you have a problem, I will work through it with you because that's the kind of leader I intend to be. As a mediator, as a circuit judge, I have had to deal with all kinds of issues and problems. So I'm able to listen to all sides and solve problems. And that's what we need in South Carolina, some common sense solutions for change, not broken promises. So I'm here to help you and lead you. I hope you will consider Tom Irvin as an independent who will fight for you when I'm governor of South Carolina. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. French.
Thank you. Thanks again so much for having me, folks. I'm going to finish up kind of how I finished the first debate up. Ronald Reagan was asked in 1980, he asked of everybody, he said, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? Now, I'm not asking that. I want you to ask yourself, are you freer than you were 4 years ago? Do you feel like you have any less taxes, any less regulation, any less burdens on your family? I'm running as a libertarian because I'm trying to bring a third-party movement to this state. I want a politically consistent philosophy that every single one of you can gravitate towards, no matter how young or how old you are, no matter how rich or poor, white, black, young, old, gay, straight. It makes no difference to me. If you believe in freedom, true individual liberty, your God-given life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, then I'm asking for you to support me. I'm asking for you to support yourself by just believing in what you can do. The best way, we've all been talking about, different ways of raising your salaries and things that we can tinker with. You want to know the fastest way that will get something done? Having a private sector job that will pay you more than the public sector that you can leave at any point in time. You want to get the government to start paying you and treating you with respect? All you've got to do is go in there and say, hey, I can leave at any point in time because I've got a high-paying job waiting out there for me in the private sector. I want you to believe in free market capitalism, not crony capitalism. I'm the only candidate talking about a full school choice policy, regardless of income, where every student in this state can go to any school that they want. They're no longer a victim of their zip code. I want to get you $240 of your own money back in your own pocket. I, like Morgan, want to decriminalize marijuana, but I think on November 4th, when you see my name and you think about if you're free or not, I think you'll make the right decision, and I look for your support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Reed.
Yes, first of all, I wish many blessings upon your family and your children. And what separates me from all the other candidates and all the debates, I'm the only one brought God's name. I'm the only one kept his name involved in politics. We need God in politics. We need God in our families. We need that kind of stuff. I look at the corridor of shame. The corridor of shame refers to schools and school teachers working for the state that sign a petition saying that we need money for our schools. President Obama came here in the state of South Carolina years ago. Vincent Shaheen sat right on as a legislator. Nikki Haley was there as governor. He offered money for these teachers that we can get out in places like Williamsburg County, Winsboro, Bamberg, all of these poor counties where the majority of African American and poor white people live. But Vincent Shaheen did not fight to keep that money here. Nikki turned it down. How can he be your friend? He wants your vote. He may get your vote if those Democratic ads will convince African American and poor white people to vote for it. I'm not an Uncle Tom, but I won't sit to the back of the bus for anybody, nobody. So what I'm saying to you is that they are wrong for you, because the people who are funding his ad, look it up, the people who are funding his ads are the people who are taking money out of your pocket. The president of Michigan State University Alumni Association, was the president of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes. I pastored 8 different churches. I played in the Pro Hall of Fame Bowl in Canton, Ohio. I gave $500,000 in scholarships to every black, white child that qualifies for it. I'm saying that I'm an honest man, and I'm willing to raise your pay. I'm not going to go there as a legislative branch and forget you. Vincent Shaheen and Nikki Haley did not raise your pay. They voted to raise their own pay. If that's what you satisfied, there's what you get. I'm just a straightforward, honest young man who's capable of doing the job, and I ask for your support. And if you give me your support, I will double your pay. I will double your pay, and I told you how. I will try at least. So thank you very much.
Join me in thanking the candidates. Hold up. I just want to make one statement. First of all, we thank the candidates, but I would be remiss, and so would you, if we are in any tight congregation between now and November 4th. If we would be remiss not to ask for people to go to the polls. We've got a tremendous job to do between now and November 4th. I said this to my church on the weekend. Every opportunity from now to November 4th, make yourselves committees of one in choosing a person of your choice. I'm not trying to tell you how to vote, but it is critical if we want our problem solved that we go to the polls and vote November the 4th. Let me thank you. You've been a good audience. And I started to say we'll see you on the next term, but I don't know when that'll be. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you.